I still remember that day, like it was etched in my mind. I sat at my desk, surrounded by the blue glow of computer screens, phones ringing non-stop, emails flooding in. My boss had just thrown another extremely urgent project at me. My heart started racing, my hands trembled, everything around me blurred, and then I collapsed right in the middle of the office. People panicked and rushed over. Someone called 911. The doctor told me, "You just had a severe panic attack. You're burned out." Burnout. That word hit me harder than any deadline ever could. On paper, I had it all. A six-figure salary, a prestigious title, co-workers who thought I was crushing it. But the truth? Inside, I was falling apart, day by day. A toxic work culture wasn't just draining my energy, it was destroying my entire life. If I told you that burnout actually saved my life, would you believe me? Because that very moment of collapse, the moment of weakness I was once too ashamed to admit, became the turning point that forced me to reevaluate my entire life. And I knew I wasn't alone. Out there, millions of people still wake up every morning, drag themselves to work, and quietly whisper, "How much longer can I keep going like this?" This is my burnout story. And maybe, somewhere in it, you'll see your own story too. If you've ever worked in a toxic environment, you'll understand what I'm about to say. Deadline after deadline. Emails sent at midnight. The pressure to always say yes, even when you're drowning in work. Those forced smiles in meetings where everyone tries to look fine, while inside they're worn out. That was my reality. I had a job many people admired. High salary, good benefits, success, at least in the eyes of outsiders. But behind the office door, all I had left was exhaustion. Every morning when I woke up, there was a heavy stone in my stomach, like I was about to enter a battlefield. The workday passed in endless meetings, my mind drifting elsewhere, my energy draining by the minute. When I got home, I was so tired I didn't even have the strength to talk to my loved ones. My body was there, but my mind had gone somewhere else, and my soul almost empty. Maybe you've felt that way too. Maybe you've looked around the office, seen those weary faces, and silently thought, "Is this really all my life is going to be?" The truth is, a toxic work culture doesn't just take your time. It takes your energy, your relationships, and gradually, it takes you as a person. And the scariest part? Most of us don't realize it until our bodies force us to stop. I learned that the hard way. And that very collapse is why I'm here telling you this. Because sometimes, the moment you think you've lost everything is exactly when you start to find yourself. I used to think I was the tough it out type. Over time, used to it. Working weekends to meet the deadline? Normal. Staying up late? Drinking coffee to power through tomorrow? Totally routine. But the body doesn't lie. It all started with tiny signs. I couldn't sleep. I lay in bed for hours, my mind replaying meetings and unanswered emails. Then came the constant headaches, stomach pain from skipping meals. Every morning I woke up, it felt like a heavy stone pressed on my chest. Hard to breathe, but still forcing myself to shuffle to the office. One day, I sat in front of the screen, preparing for an important presentation. 40 PowerPoint slides, dozens of figures, hundreds of eyes waiting. I heard my heart pounding, cold sweat breaking out. The screen in front of me blurred. I tried to stand up to get some water, and then collapsed right in the middle of the conference room. People panicked. Someone called 911. I woke up in the hospital. The doctor looked me straight in the eye and said, "You had a severe panic attack, compounded by overwork and exhaustion. If you don't change, you're killing yourself." That sentence felt like a slap in the face. For the first time in my life, I realized the job I was clinging to was actually taking my life. Society often teaches that if we just try a little harder, we'll get through. But the truth is, burnout isn't just tiredness. It's when the body and mind scream in unison. Enough. I can't take this anymore. The World Health Organization has recognized burnout as an occupational syndrome, not a joke. It has 3 clear signs: energy depletion, growing cynicism and aversion to work, noticeable decline in performance. Sound familiar? I went through all 3. And the scary thing is, most of us don't realize it until our bodies force us to stop. I remember once, on my way home, I looked in the rearview mirror. The person in the mirror had dark circles under the eyes, pale lips, a face that looked soulless. I was shocked to realize, who is this? Is that even me? In that moment, I understood. I wasn't living anymore. I was merely existing, repeating each day like a machine. I had traded my health, my time, and precious moments with family, just to keep a title. The brutal truth is, some seats are very expensive, and the price you pay is your life. If you see yourself in this story, try a small exercise. Every night before bed, write down 3 things. How did work make you feel today? Tired, anxious, or energized? What moment in the day drained you the most? What, no matter how small, brought you a spark of positivity? Keep it up for 7 days straight. You'll see the real picture, how much your job is affecting your life. Because sometimes, before we can change, we need enough courage to face the truth. I stood at that threshold and understood I couldn't keep going like this forever. But to take a step, I needed an awakening moment. A turning point that changed everything. One evening, after coming back from the hospital, I sat quietly in the living room. A dim yellow light fell across the table, where my laptop was still open, full of unanswered emails. The phone on the table buzzed non-stop coworkers, work messages, new deadlines. I stared at the screen, then exhaled softly. For the first time in years, I reached out and shut the computer down. The room fell into silence. In that silence, a question rose in my mind, as clear as if someone whispered in my ear, if tomorrow were my last day, would I regret spending my whole life on this job? The answer came immediately. Yes, deeply. From that moment, I knew I couldn't go on like before. We often comfort ourselves. Just one more year. Just one more accomplishment. Then I'll be okay. But the truth is, there's no finish line. It's like a treadmill with no off button. You keep running and running until you collapse. I realized I wasn't living my own life. I was living the life others expected of me. My career was like a tree planted in the wrong soil. No matter how much I watered it, it could never bloom. Society often teaches that strong people never quit. But the truth is, sometimes real strength lies in daring to walk away. Think of Howard Schultz, the founder of Starbucks. He once had a stable job in finance, but he left it all to pursue an idea many people thought was crazy, selling coffee in a new way. The result? The world has Starbucks. Or Vera Wang, before becoming a famous fashion designer, she was a failed figure skater. Then a fashion editor passed over for promotion. If she hadn't walked away, there wouldn't be the Vera Wang brand so many brides dream of today. They're proof of a simple truth. Walking away isn't a period at the end. It's a door opening to a new journey. If you're feeling stuck in your job or your life right now, try sitting down with a piece of paper and writing, if I leave, what do I get back for myself? Time, health, freedom. If I stay, what's the price I pay? Stress, distance from family, loss of joy in life? If I try a new path, what opportunities could open up? No need for certainty, just possibilities. When you answer these 3 questions, you'll see clearly: staying, leaving, or starting over. Which path truly matters to you? That night, I decided I would leave. Not because I knew for sure what the road ahead would look like, but because I knew one thing for sure. I couldn't keep living the same way. In that moment, I no longer saw myself as a failure. I saw myself as someone stepping out of a suffocating room, opening the door to breathe fresh air. And I understood, this wasn't an ending. It was the beginning of a rebirth. Walking away from my old job wasn't a period. It was like putting the pen down halfway through a book, only to start writing the next chapter of my own story. On the first day after quitting, I woke up with no waiting emails, no packed calendar of meetings. I sat by the window, watching the morning light pour into the room, feeling both relief and uncertainty. No more title to introduce when someone asked, "What do you do?" No more steady stream of money flowing into my account each month. No more successful career armor to wear in front of society. Only a vast, open space ahead of me. But in that very space, I found the chance to rebuild my life. To be honest, the early stage was very difficult. I worried. I was afraid. I doubted myself. There were mornings I sat on the couch for hours, asking, was I crazy to give it all up? Sometimes I wanted to go back to my old job, just to feel safe again. But then, amid those waves of panic, I began to allow myself to truly rest. I took longer walks, ate breakfast more slowly, called my parents just to check in, picked up books that had been gathering dust for years. And I realized, for so many years I had lived like a machine, to the point I forgot what it really means to live. One question haunted me for weeks. Who am I if I'm not my job? Painful but also liberating. I sat down and wrote out the values that mattered most. Health, time for family, creative freedom, doing meaningful work, not just working for money. I promised myself, any career choice from now on must revolve around those values. That's how I rebuilt the foundation, not from society's expectations, but from my own heart. Instead of only looking at ultra-famous people, I found inspiration in real stories around me. Arianna Huffington, founder of HuffPost. She once fainted right at her desk from exhaustion, hit her head on the table, and needed stitches. That experience made her realize no career is worth sacrificing health. She later left HuffPost to start Thrive Global, a company focused on helping people fight burnout and live more balanced lives. Satya Nadella, CEO of Microsoft. Before becoming a leader, he admitted he had once chased performance and forgot people. After a personal family shock, he completely changed his leadership approach. Instead of a cutthroat competition culture, he built a culture of empathy, helping Microsoft recover strongly. And perhaps you also know people around you, coworkers, friends who left a high-paying but toxic job to reclaim what matters more: mental health and a sense of meaning. They don't appear on magazine covers, but they prove that rebirth isn't only for the famous, it's a choice anyone can make. One small habit that helped me through the hardest phase was practicing gratitude. Every morning, I wrote down 3 small things I was grateful for. A delicious breakfast, a warm conversation, a beautiful sunset. It may sound simple, but it changed how I saw the world. When we leave an old career, it's easy to get swept up in fear and a sense of loss. But gratitude reminds me, even when I've lost a lot, I still have precious things. And from that foundation, I rebuilt trust and strength. As time passed, I started to breathe again. More energy, more ideas. And most importantly, I felt truly alive. I found a new job. It wasn't as flashy as the old one, but it aligned with what I genuinely care about. I had time for family, for myself, for the youthful dreams I'd once set aside. Every morning when I wake up, instead of feeling like I'm heading into battle, I feel like I'm stepping into a meaningful day. I learned that Sometimes, to find your life again, you have to dare to lose a part of it. Walking away isn't failure. Walking away is an invitation to begin again, on a foundation that's stronger and more honest. Looking back, I realize, burnout isn't just a sign of collapse. It's also a wake-up call. It's like a fire alarm in a building. That sound is irritating, frightening, but without it, you'd never make it out in time. Burnout pounded on my door in the harshest way, with anxiety, panic attacks, and sleepless nights. But because of it, I had to stop, had to ask myself, why am I living like this? And if I keep going, what will I lose? What I learned is, no salary is big enough to make up for lost health. No title is shiny enough to replace peace of mind. And no workplace culture is worth your entire life if it turns you into the worst version of yourself. We often think staying is the safe choice. But sometimes, leaving is the only way to survive. I picture myself as someone standing in a smoke-filled room. If I stay, I'll suffocate. If I step outside, I finally get to breathe and see the clear blue sky that's been waiting for me. And maybe life is like that too. There are places you need to leave not because you're weak, but because you deserve to live. If you're listening to this and realize you're also stuck in a toxic culture, please remember, you are not alone, and you always have a choice. A brave choice isn't always easy, but it will always bring you closer to the life you truly long for. I want to invite you to share your own story. Have you ever gone through burnout? Have you ever stood at a crossroads and had to choose between safety and living true? Leave your story in the comments. Because who knows, your experience might be the light that guides someone else who's still struggling in the dark. And remember, sometimes, the very moment you think you're losing everything is exactly when you find your life again.